I do want to talk about some of the voice performances here before we go on to how like the video games were adapted. Um, I think we got to start with Chris Pratt as Mario. And that was one of the most divisive castings we've seen in quite some time for a voice actor role. And Chris Pratt himself is a very divisive actor based on his political views, although he doesn't seem to put it out there too much, but seems like people make assumptions about him just like based on what the minimal knowledge that they have. I think he was good in this. And what I mean by that is he didn't take over the movie, but he didn't hold it back. He was he had a lot of lines, but he did it in a way where he subtly adapts that Brooklyn accent. He doesn't go full on, "Hey, it's me, I'm Mario." He doesn't do that whole thing, you know? And I think that was appropriate because with the amount of lines he had, it would have gotten annoying to audiences. It would have been unbearable if you had like people are saying like it was like the French version of the Mario trailer sounded better than Chris Pratt. I'm like, yeah, because he said one line in the trailer, right? It seemed like people were ready to hate on Chris Pratt. But I think a good thing about this movie, it's like he it was more about the way it was adapting the video game, right? And it was just a pleasant experience to watch Mario, and it's just nothing was held didn't hold it back whatsoever. And I don't see much dialogue going on regarding Chris Pratt after this movie, which I think is good because that's like the opposite of what I anticipated was going to happen. It's more about the critic score and how it's so wrong rather than Chris Pratt wasn't the guy for the movie, you know?
Yeah, the pitchforks and torches were ready. They were lit.
It was like another Shrek mention there.
Yeah,
It's like the
yeah.
beginning
Like
of Shrek.
we were like not we. I think most people were ready to freaking rain down on Chris Pratt after this movie. But I agree, he was good. The Brooklyn accent for me sometimes was a bit much. Sometimes I just wish it was just him, like Emmett in like a movie. I wish it was just his voice, to be honest. Because the Brooklyn accent did get to me sometimes, but that's a lot better than just going full Italian or trying to be Italian the entire time. Like it was cool how in the first scene it was the commercial of them at the plumbers and they were kind of doing a play on the Italian move or Italian accents there. Then they had the actual voice of Mario there playing a game in the pizza parlor. Like that was good. Get that out of the way first and foremost. Like yes, your pitchforks are up, your torches and pitchforks are up. Put them down. We're not doing this. Have a little laugh, this little reference that probably the kids had no idea understood that, but we understood it, and then go on with the rest of the 90 minutes of the movie. Very well executed. I totally agree with you. I think it was good. Like right when they did that though, it's just like, all right, let's put the torches down. We're good. And I think that's all we really needed. If they didn't do that off the start though, that could have been recipe for disaster, but they did. That was very smart.
Yeah, and, like, I did like the beginning of the movie a lot. I like, almost the Sopranos references, like, when they're at the Italian Sunday dinner, got the guys in the tracksuits giving them advice. I'm just like, "He this is, like, the fun that I was looking forward to in the movie theater," and, the moment even when we go into, like, video game adaptations, I do wanna talk about some of the performances. My one of my favorite moments, maybe my favorite moment in general, was that moment where they're not even in Mushroom Kingdom yet, and they're doing all of the type of motions walking through the construction site that is similar to what is gameplay. You know, it has that the two decks that you're watching. It's almost like you're playing a video game. I wanted to put something in my hand watching those two jump and walk up these different planks and then go across these tubes. I was just like, hey, this is like the adaptation that I want, where it's not too direct. It's more like, hey, this is what gameplay is like. And now we get that in the real world, right? In Brooklyn. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Let's talk about voice
Oh,
performance.
I
Oh,
also
sorry. Good. You
just
want to talk
to,
about
that
that?
was also one of, if not my favorite scene in the movie, was that gameplay scene going through Brooklyn to try to get to that plumbing job.
Yeah.
The Beastie Boys, let me nominate the first Diva of the year, goes to
Oh,
Beastie
yeah.
Boys needle drop in this movie.
And
Very good.
we
Very
gotta
good.
we gotta talk about the needle drops and like we talked about Kill Bill earlier in this episode, but like when you have the dun dun dun, when you have like
Right.
the penguins like throwing the snowballs, I thought amazing needle drop. That's also up there with one of my favorites. It just
The
was so
music in this
short.
movie was great. It was
And
great.
we'll get to this next guy. Let's talk about Jack Black because he was the scene stealer of the movie, in my opinion. He was the best performer. he is someone that's meant to voice animated characters. He has a very unique, but also like clearly identifiable voice. He was perfect to be cast as Bowser. I can't imagine someone else in that role. He took it, he ran with it, and he almost had a Tenacious D type of like feel to his performance. Like when he's talking to some of his henchmen and he goes like jam with me and he like pats on the step and they do the Mario drop where it's like na 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 na. The henchman just like slides the key twice. Don't. It just like that's like the fun of this movie that it just made me chuckle. That was like one of the hardest laughs I had here. And I just wanted to spend as much time with Jack Black as possible. Did you see I'll get your impressions in a sec. Did you see that Peaches is eligible for Best Original Song at the Oscars?
That's I was about to say. Like that just shows you the cultural like impact that this movie has. Is that they want
People are asking that
They
question.
want Peaches nominated for an Oscar. Like that's insane. Like
There is no shot that was in the script. Like I could see Jack Black saying like, "Hey, let me just do a little something here," and they just run with it. You know, it's not like the best dialogue or anything. It's not the best lyrics, but it's just I could see Jack Black just doing that. He seems like an incredible improvisational actor, and he has the musical chops. I'm so happy they kept it if that was improvisational. And he was honestly the best performance here. Did you think someone else was better than him?
It was clear that he tried the hardest. Like,
Yeah.
he definitely went all out for this role, and I loved every single second of it. And I would say before that singing scene, you literally could say like, yeah, you could if you really try, then you could tell it's Jack Black, but you couldn't really tell it was Jack Black right off the top. And like you obviously knew it was, but it was like it's not just like Seth Rogen was Seth Rogen in this movie. You know? Like you could tell
They
that
all
was
did
Seth
their
Rogen.
job, and then Jack Black went above and beyond.
Exactly. So Jack Black, like hats off to you, sir. Like great job. And I think all around the voice acting, I didn't have a gripe with anybody. Like no one was at the level of Jack Black, but nobody was bad. Everyone was either adequate to Jack Black status.
Yeah. Anya Taylor-Joy, I think, was perfect casting as well as Princess Peach. I thought she was sweet, and I wish she just had more depth to her character. Obviously, it's not up to her. And I just want more Charlie Day. I wanted more Charlie Day. I love his voice. He also has a
Luigi's
very
Mansion
unique
movie
sound.
coming up next.
Yes, I just like that's where I just felt like they just debuted these people and they just said, okay, well, you're going to see this person later in an alternate project. Moving on here, what do you want to see next from this franchise? Like whether in a sequel or a spinoff, what are you looking for from Nintendo and Illumination going into the future after the box office success of this film?
There's definitely talk of a DK Donkey Kong spinoff. There's talk of Luigi's Mansion spinoff. I know Charlie Day says he's up for it if it gets approved. There's even talk of Wario. Like people want to. Jack Black wants Wario. Pedro Pascal to play Wario.
That seems pretty perfect. That's great casting.
That seems like that's gonna happen because Jack Black's kind of like the force behind this movie, behind the scenes. I feel like now, especially with Bowser being so beloved. I would love to see a Mario Kart type of movie, like a Mad Max Fury Road type of Mario Kart, but I don't think that's realistic. I think a Super Smash Bros. I think I said this, I don't know if on the pod or to you, but a Super Smash Bros. Avengers type of culmination would be my like dream scenario for this franchise because they're obviously going to do these spinoffs, but Super Smash Bros. Was my favorite Mario game. Like besides like the original, Super Smash Bros. Is amazing. So if they have like a tournament style breakdown, or I don't know how they would do it, but have all these like a Link, a Kirby spinoff, something like that, and all culminates to like a MCU type Avengers movie, that would be kind of sick. And I think with the way they incorporated the IP, the power-ups and everything in this movie, I think you could do a Super Smash Bros. Movie because of how well they executed the IP in this movie.
I think that's like their Avengers Endgame. You know,
exactly.
As Smash Bros. Like you're gonna get that down the line. You got to build up all those characters in Smash Bros. First, and especially in this movie, and then we can go from there. Like you don't have to have every single character from Smash Bros. Like get their own spin-off, but like at least like in the characters that you introduced here, you hit the big hitters. Like, just like build them off a little bit. They all get their own picture, and then boom, you can have all those supporting guys too. And I heard people like want Zelda potentially to be someone that is getting his own film and then meets up in Super Smash Bros. I think that's another direction. Um, I think this is. Have we seen, aside from like Despicable Me, have we seen someone that kind of attempts a cinematic universe at the same level? We know Pixar has like hints in their films. Would this be the first like cinematic universe? I guess you could say Shrek as well, but like they all went their separate.
Madagascar.
They went their separate ways and never came back together. It seems like you have an opportunity to build something a la MCU with these characters, and I don't think they're going to pass up on that opportunity following the biggest animated opening of all time.
Definitely not. And they had the IP to do it. Like they have like something to
Right.
look back to, similar to like a comic book.
Right.